I'm Philip Wonga. Welcome to Sounds Like Portraits. This podcast is all about people and creativity. In this episode, you will hear the story of singer, musician and songwriter Eugene Ruffolo and what inspired him all his life.
All my life, I've always tried to create beautiful things. And if I ask myself the existential question of why am I here on the earth, which we all ask, that's what I've really come to believe, that my mission is to just put beautiful things into the world. So that's what I try to do both in my life at large and particularly through my work.
Beauty, beautiful things. How do you see that?
Well, of course, it's subjective.
How did you come to sing on stage?
On stage, well, I've been singing as long as I can remember. From when I was a child, I was always singing. And I started when I was about, I think maybe 13 or 14 years old. I discovered the guitar and I started playing music. And I started performing very soon after that. I was in high school and I played the guitar for about a year, and then I just started playing in clubs and restaurants. That's how I started singing on stage.
Was it a challenge for you to find your true voice?
Well, of course, it's a challenge to find your true voice. It's a real journey that takes, I think, many years, because obviously all artists start out with imitation. Imitation is the first and almost inevitable vehicle for learning how to do something. So you're imitating people, you're emulating artists that you admire and that have influenced you, and then it's not like you wake up one day and you found your voice. It's a very gradual process, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and realize that you do in fact have your own voice. But it's a struggle because when you're a young artist, people are always comparing you to other people. And it's frustrating because you don't want to be compared to other people. And of course, people still do compare me to people, but I'm very at home with it now because I feel very confident in having my own voice. So I'm much more comfortable with any comparison that someone might offer up.
Do you remember that feeling when you were able to say, that's my voice?
It's not like it's a moment, where it happens. So I would have to say no. I don't remember the moment where I felt, oh, I have my own voice. It's the kind of thing that one day you just, and again, I'm not sure if it's even one day. You just at some point you realize you're more comfortable in your own skin and you've developed your own thing.
Why is it so difficult to find one's true voice?
Well, it's difficult because when you start doing whatever it is that you do, in my case singing, you're just drawn to people who are influencing you. And as a young person, you're so immersed in it. There's an immersion that happens at a young age that I don't think happens at any other. And you're so taken by that it's hard to break, it's hard to break free. And it just happens at some point. But why is it difficult? It's difficult because it involves a certain confidence that I think takes some time to, like everything else in life, you have to grow into yourself, and that can't be rushed. It happens when it happens.
Why our voice in general is not true from the beginning?
I think that the tendency is to think that people know more or have more skill than you do, especially when you start out. So it takes a while to find the confidence to express yourself in an authentic way. Yeah, it's just a process that takes time.
It's about confidence.
It's about confidence. It's about confidence. It's a process that involves so many things. Just the development of an artist and an artistic self, because it's not just about the craft that you're dealing with. In this case, singing. It's about you as a human being. It's all connected. You can't be an authentic artist unless you're a developed person. Same thing. It's a process that starts at birth and goes on until the day you die. It never ends. So it takes a while for people to feel comfortable in their own skin. Your voice artistically is the same as your personality and your development as a human being.
Is it possible on the long term to sing as a singer with a voice which is not true?
I would say yes, but then again, I feel a little bit arrogant making that statement because who's to judge what is another person's truth? It's very subjective. I do believe, however, that authenticity is something that people can feel. So when you're not singing in your own true voice, I think people know it. And again, it's not just about voice. When people are not authentic, you can somehow feel it. I've found that in my own music. It's always been very interesting to me. My writing as a songwriter is very personal. All of my music is personal, but still there are some songs that come from deeper places than others. And I've found, interestingly, that those songs are the ones that invariably resonate the most with people, because I feel like people know. They know when something's coming from a deep, genuine place. So even though there are genres of music, and I don't want to disparage country music just picking it out, but there are certain genres that tend to be more formulaic, and they can be very effective. People like those songs as well. But when something comes from a deep place, I just believe it resonates with people.
Your voice is your own instrument. How do you prepare yourself before singing on stage?
Well, you just said the very critical thing. The thing that separates the voice from other instruments, and I think I can say this with some authority because I'm a player as well. I'm a guitar player as well. Singing is more complex in that particular way, that your body is your instrument. So when you're playing another instrument, in my case the guitar, of course your body matters. I mean, you can get overuse injuries, problems that will impact your playing. But when you're singing, your body is your voice. So in terms of how you warm up or how you get ready to do a performance, for me, I do vocal exercises, which is the most obvious thing, but I also pay attention to my body, because with singing, a lot of producing sound has to do with sort of getting out of your own way, making sure that your voice resonates and vibrates freely. So your body can get in the way of that. So what I often do is certain physical exercises and even emotional exercises to calm myself down, a little meditation of sorts, or I have a whole series of things that I do to massage my face, which is one of the resonating chambers in vocal production, and my larynx. And there's different things that I do physically to loosen myself up. And those things come in very handy if I'm touring, for instance. There are times when I don't have the privacy to do vocal exercises. So it's a combination of vocal exercises and physical work.
How did you develop your breath control?
I don't have a specific answer for that other than just a lifetime of singing. So there's nothing specific that I do to that end.
What do you feel when your voice is true, when you do something true in singing? What do you feel?
It's the best. It's the best feeling. What do I feel? I feel connected, because when you're singing and it's all working out, it's a physical and an emotional connection that is, everything's lining up. Being calm and being centered serves you in every way. It's always a good thing. That's what I've learned about myself through that process.
What does it mean to be centered?
To be present, to really presence, and that's a big thing, I think, in performing. And it's a constant struggle, something I've struggled with a lot, because when you're on stage, it's so easy to be distracted, to be anticipating. You're on stage worrying, concerned about what's going to come out of your mouth, concerned about how it sounds, concerned how the audience is receiving what you're doing, concerned about what you're going to play next, concerned about what you're going to say next. All these things run through your mind. And they're all a distraction, and they all serve to take you out of the moment. So the objective, and this has taken me a long time to do this, is to really be present as you can be in the moment. You're going to deliver the best performance. And that means blocking everything out of your mind except what's happening in that moment, because that's when you connect most deeply to your emotions, and that's what it's all about.
It's difficult to be peaceful if you want to block something.
But it's not an active thing. You're not actively trying to block something. I'm just trying to be in the moment so that those things, it's similar to meditation, right? You're trying to calm the chatter in your mind. Same thing. So it's not really an active blocking. It's really the reverse. It's staying in the moment, then you don't need to block anything.
It's about let it go.
It's about letting go. It's about letting go and trusting that everything that's going to happen in the future will take care of itself then. And just be where you are, It sounds like a very Zen concept, and it is. And just like meditation, it's a very challenging thing. Seemingly simple, in reality challenging. Because by nature, human beings, we're always thinking and worrying and anticipating. And that's sort of, I think, the enemy of good performance. And good vocal production as well. Because one of the main obstacles to good singing is tension. You don't want tension. You want freedom. The voice is there if we allow it to come out. And we're constantly doing things, both physically and emotionally, to block it.
When you said that the audience feel when someone sings with a true voice, it's certainly about the free vibration they can feel.
When somebody's relaxed, you're relaxed. That's true. Like when you go to see a performer and a performer is noticeably anxious or nervous, it translates and it makes the audience nervous. So the more relaxed you are on stage, the more relaxed the audience is, which is why artists often talk about the phenomenon, which is a real thing, because we strive so much to be perfect. But artists all know this. Audiences love when you're not perfect. They like to see you make a mistake, screw up a lyric and start over, things like that. People, they love that because it puts them at ease. It gives you a connection with the audience where they see you as a fallible human being. And for some reason, that's always it seems to be very comforting to audiences. Not that you strive to make mistakes to comfort the audience, but the point being that you being relaxed translates to the audience having I think, a more relaxing and satisfying listening experience. As you can imagine, when you're standing on a stage and it's silent and everybody's looking at you, that's not a situation that inherently lends itself to you being relaxed. There's a certain stress involved in that. And that's the battle, is to be as relaxed as you can, and which is, of course, why you prepare, why you rehearse and why you prepare, both for a particular performance and your whole life, in terms of developing your craft. You prepare for that moment. Because the more prepared you are, the greater the possibility is that you're going to be relaxed in that moment, because you have a lot to fall back on, And I certainly feel it's this way for me personally. The older I get, the more relaxed I am. It all translates to life itself, too. I'm more relaxed in my life. I'm more relaxed on stage. It's all the same. It's all one thing.
Is there a clear line separating your life as a musician and your life as a person?
Well, of course, they're two different things, but I'm not sure there's a clear line. It is very connected. I don't think I am very identified by who I am as a musician. As a matter of fact, just to give you an example, because this happens to me, as many years as I've been singing, I'm always aware of this because I laugh at it to myself. When I get a cold and I lose my voice, even though intellectually I know I just have a cold and I'm going to be fine in a week, when I lose my voice, it's profoundly disturbing to me, even though I know it's a simple virus and it's going to go away. Because somehow I identify with my singing and my voice. It's such an integral part of who I am that it's very unnerving when it's not there. It is difficult to find the delineating point between my life and my work.
The balance.
The balance, yeah.
What kind of experience are you looking for yourself on stage?
The kind of experience I'm looking for when I'm on stage is a conversation with the audience, a relaxed conversation with the audience. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an experience where I feel calm and centered and present, and the audience is with me. I want them to be with me, and I want to be with them.
Is it a conversation in silence?
It's an emotional conversation, because that's what really is happening musically. But it's also, most importantly, it's an emotional conversation, but it's also a literal conversation, too. You're communicating with the audience, you're telling stories, you're talking about your music. They're reacting in some way, so it's not a literal conversation with any one particular person, but it's a form of a musical and emotional conversation.
What do you feel when it doesn't work?
You feel bad. That's how you feel. It's unnerving, and you feel like you're being unsuccessful in your mission. But just to elaborate on the last thing, the more experienced I become as a performer, the more I am aware of that important distinction or element, that it is a conversation. Because when a musician gets on stage and is just transmitting, it's just like spurting out something to the audience, it's very ineffective. It can work if you're very famous and people are, come and they want to hear a certain music, and sometimes if a person's very famous, I don't want to mention any names, but there's some people who are notorious for not being very communicative. But if they're iconic figures and people know, they come there to hear that music, it might be acceptable. But if you're a more of a mortal character like myself, you need to have a communication with the audience. Otherwise, you're just spewing out stuff towards them. That's not what it's about. It's not one-sided. That's my point. It's not me deciding what I'm going to put out. It's me putting on a show that has basically been roughly arranged, but remaining open to what happens in the moment. And that involves, that includes the audience's reaction to what you're doing. It's a dynamic situation, because that's where the magic happens, That's where the most interesting things happen that are unscripted, and the performers who are able to react to those moments, that's what the audience delights in a way, because they feel a part of it. They feel like they're a part of the experience. You're reacting to them. You're not just up there separate from them.
You're a songwriter. Does it make a difference for you when you're singing a song you've written?
Well, that's interesting, because I think the commonly held belief is that it's much more fulfilling to sing a song you've written. And of course, I love singing my own music, and it's very meaningful. But I can find just as much meaning and satisfaction singing a song I haven't written, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, I wouldn't be singing someone else's song if it didn't resonate with me in some deep way. So in that sense, it's the same as if something I'd written myself. Often it's something I wish I'd written myself.
What do you need to start writing a song?
Well, I'll tell you the most obvious thing is that the idea that you walk down the street and you're struck by inspiration is a myth. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I can't vouch for everybody else's process. But for me, it does not happen. So the most critical thing I need to write a song is to the simple thing of putting myself in a position to write it. If I just walked around, I would go years and never write a song. I need to sit down and physically put myself in a position to be receiving creative thought, That's the most obvious thing that comes to mind, is I need to physically be in a place. I need silence. I really need to be alone. And that means not even someone else in the house or the apartment. And to be in a place that inspires me in some way.
Why do you need silence to be inspired?
Because it's such an inner process coming up, especially like the beginning of a song. You're waiting for some kind of wavelength, some kind of information to flow into your mind. You need focus and silence. I'm really not sure why, but that's just the way it is.
Do you follow some rules or some guidelines to help your writing process?
No, I think the major guideline I have for myself is that it's something that's genuine and comes from a real place. I would say that, but and then again, there are certain structural things. I believe in form and structure, but I don't think about it while I'm doing it. It's just something that's in my mind. So I would have to say there aren't many guidelines, certainly not consciously, that I follow.
Most of the time, is the music coming first or the words?
I would say generally it's playing around the instrument and finding some kind of a musical idea that's interesting. And then I look for some kind of a lyrical thing, either from just in my mind, or I go and look through my notes and find something. And that's usually how it starts, with one little idea. And then from there, it takes on a life of its own.
What do you expect from a conversation with another singer, songwriter like you?
The comfort of the common experience, just being able to speak with somebody who speaks your language, who deals with the challenges that you do, the challenges, the frustrations, the satisfactions, the little victories, the triumphs. It's just, I would say that's what I expect. It's just sort of feeling like you're speaking with a kindred spirit.
I'm gonna leave the space. Please hold the microphone and add whatever you want to the interview.
Oh my God, he's leaving. Don't leave me. Well, it's not every day that I actually get the opportunity to explore my own process. I really don't think about it that often, my own process. Of course, I have one like everybody else. But it's been interesting and informative, as interesting and informative to myself as I hope it will be to the listener. So I am very grateful for the opportunity, and I thank Philippe for having me here to talk about it. Thanks, Philippe. Okay.
Thank you, Eugene Ruffolo, for sharing your inspiring story. This is Sounds Like Portraits, a podcast by Philippe Ungar. Music, Charmeuse de Serpent, performed by the Brooklyn Orchestra, composed and conducted by Olivier Glisson. See you soon for the next episode.